All right, speaking of experience, I have none at water compacts other than this show. I've learned a lot, but I really don't know much about it. It's very confusing, but we brought somebody on that's going to kind of spread it out a little bit in front of us and hopefully put it all back together and explained a new compact. That's right, a new compact. Now remember, CSKT compact passed the legislature in 2015, sitting on John Tester's desk for reintroduction, either in the lame duck session or in 2019. Now, the Montana process is completed, but there is a group. They got together, and they put together a new compact, the People's Compact. All right, so let's bring Dr. Kate. Dr. Kate, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, John. I'm well, and I thank you so much, and very happy to be here this morning.
Well, we're happy to have you. Remember, we don't have a degree in this stuff, so keep it simple. Dr. Kate Vandemoer and the team, and they put this People's Compact together. Dr. Kate, for people that don't know you, can you give us a little background on yourself and how you got involved in the CSKT Water Compact?
Okay, I'm a hydrologist and water manager. I have a doctorate in those fields, and I have spent my professional career, more than 26 years, working for Indian tribes on Federal Reserve water rights. I've also worked with the United States, the Interior Department, and Commerce, and I came to Montana in 2012 to take a look at this CSKT compact and help residents here defeat it.
And what's wrong with the compact? Such a small question, right? But such a large answer.
Right.
So a group of you got together. Explain the group and how you got together and how you came up with a new compact.
Okay, as a group of citizens, concerned citizens of Western Montana, Montana Land and Water Alliance, and many, many other people have been working diligently for about 6 years to try to inject some common sense into the CSKT compact. So we citizens participated in the entire process and were unable to convince the state, even after hiring some of the top lawyers in the United States on this area, we were unable to really get any relief from the state of Montana or the other governments who negotiated this. So we ended up with this CSKT compact. So essentially, where we're starting from this is we know this, and you can look at our website to find out the travesty, but essentially there was an abject failure of the state to produce a fair and equitable settlement of the Federal Reserve rights of the CSKT, as was mandated by the legislature. Instead, the 2015 CSKT compact was probably the most divisive legislation to ever come out of Montana, and everyone is still divided about it. We have a website that describes all of the issues with the CSKT compact, which is westernmtwaterrights.wordpress.com. That's a very big website that will let you know everything that is wrong. We, as citizens, basically exhausted all of our remedies at the state level, not only participating in hearings and providing information and so forth, but including litigation regarding the legislature's vote in 2015. The three governments involved in this, we believe, the state, tribal, and federal government, failed their citizens. Now, as of 2018, we thought that the only course left to us after exhausting citizen remedies at this level was litigation when the compact came back from Congress. So what happened, it was really kind of interesting. So we're sitting there knowing this compact like the back of our hands, and we got a challenge from a number of landowners out in western Montana who said, listen, why don't you find a solution that is better than the existing compact and that actually solves the problems you're talking about? And essentially, John, sometimes, as you know, it's time to stop saying no and try to come up with a solution.
Well, one thing that I've noticed, Dr. Kate, is this CSKT compact really benefits a lot of people, but usually they're in government or state or tribal or federal. But really the people and this group you put together, or this group that has come together, and you can go to thepeoplescompact.wordpress.com. That's thepeoplescompact.wordpress.com. and see what they put together here. But I guess really this is more for the people and also for trying to build some bridges, mend some fences, so to speak.
Yes, that's right, John. Thank you for pointing that out. The state, tribal, and federal governments benefited themselves. The state essentially gave itself immunity from damages and delegated its constitutional authorities for managing water to another entity. The tribal government got $2.3 billion in Tester's bill, which specified not one penny of that money would go to tribal members. And the federal government ended up with ownership of all the water, over two-thirds of the state of Montana. So what happened to the rest of us here?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so it didn't benefit any citizens of Montana, including the tribal members, which is really a sham and a shame. So we got to this point. What happens when governments fail? Under the 10th Amendment, as you know, powers not authorized to the federal government are given to the state and the people themselves. When the state and the federal governments fail, it is left up to the people. So under the 10th Amendment, basically, we, the people, decided to come up with an alternative. And here briefly are the goals of our effort. Before we wrote anything, this is how we started. We wanted to, number one, stay within the law of the Federal Reserve rights in the Constitution, which the CSKT Compact did not do. We wanted to find a final resolution of the Federal Reserve water rights and not leave it open for multi-generational litigation, which is what the CSKT Compact did. We wanted to offer a solution that benefits people, obviously, not governments. We wanted to protect the water rights of all citizens, including individual Indian allottees. And we wanted to really mend fences and help heal our community. There was no need to divide the community this way. As a hydrologist in western Montana, there's enough water in western Montana for everybody without taking water from anyone. So that's how we started.
So under the 10th Amendment, Kate, it says that the people are the ones who must resolve when governments fail, basically. I do believe that it's something like First Amendment right to petition our government for redress or grievances. And that's what you guys are working towards. So stay within the law, Federal Reserve rights and Constitution, got that. Offer a solution that benefits people, not governments, got that. And protect the water rights of all the communities involved and mend some fences along the way. So how do you plan on doing that, Kate?
Okay, no magic wand here, but as you mentioned, thank you for mentioning this, our ability to go straight to Congress, we decided to, let's do this. We decided to resolve the grievance that we have against the CSKT Compact, so we developed a new one, a fair solution. So we came up with the idea of the People's Compact Mending Fences Act, and if I can tell you now, it's got 4 components.
Okay.
So number one, the People's Compact contains a quantification or determination of the Federal Reserve water rights of the CSKT based on the purposes of the reservation. And note, as of this date, Montana has not told its citizens how much water it ceded to the United States in the CSKT Compact, but it's anywhere from 28 million to 48 million acre-feet of water, way outside of other issues. So we quantified the water right based on the purposes of the reservation, and it ends up being a little bit more than 500,000 acre-feet of water, which is about what the other tribes have gotten in Montana. It's within there. the key aspect of the mending fences point here is that because there really is no legal basis in the Treaty of Hellgate for off-reservation water rights, our quantification eliminated all off-reservation water rights in western and eastern Montana. So we are now back down to basically what a Federal Reserve water right is, which is restricted to the reservation lands and based on the purpose of the reservation.
Hold on just a second, Dr. Kate. I do have to take a break. It's a hard break, so I got to take that. When we come back, we'll pick up where you are. And quantification and words, basically, if you have statements like quantification of Federal Reserve water rights of tribe based on the purposes of the Flathead Indian Reservation, discrete amount of water, we're going to have to dive into that a little bit harder because that's where you lose me, and I think we're losing a lot of people. So when we come back, we're going to talk about that 4 components that you said of the People's Compact Mending Fences Act. And number 1 is quantification. We're going to go back to that and make sure that everybody understands this. For help, you can go to the peoplescompact.wordpress.com. thepeoplescompact.wordpress.com. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Voices of Montana. And we're talking with Dr. Kate Vandemoer, and we're talking about the CSKT Compact and how they wish that it would be replaced with a new compact that is for the people. And there's 4 components to the People's Compact / Mending Fences Act. Quantification, basically what we're talking about here, and correct me if I'm wrong, is this is just how much, is that correct? How much water that we're talking about, is that correct?
Yes, and thanks for, I live and breathe this stuff, so I sometimes use these words. So really, back to a Federal Reserve water right is based on the Winters Doctrine, which basically says that when the United States reserved a reservation, it impliedly reserved an amount of water necessary to fulfill the purposes of the reservation.
Got it.
So the purposes of the Flathead Reservation are found in the Treaty of Hellgate, and it's agriculture, on-reservation fisheries, industrial, domestic, municipal use, and the awarding of individual lands to individual Indians who wanted to take advantage of that. So when you say quantification of the Federal Reserve water rights, you determine how much water is necessary to fulfill those purposes, like agriculture, industry, domestic, municipal fisheries. So we did that calculation and used the information that the United States had submitted to the Montana Water Court to come up with the number of a little more than 500,000 acre-feet, of which about 270,000 acre-feet is already existing as in-stream flow within the Flathead Irrigation Project. So there's a considerable amount of water that they have, and more than half of it is already developed in in-stream flow. So based on the definition of a Federal Reserve right, which is it's restricted to the reservation, it's an discrete amount of water to meet the purposes of the reservation. We eliminated, the People's Compact requires the elimination of all the off-reservation water rights because they are not Federal Reserve water rights according to that definition. And Montana's process is to determine the Federal Reserve rights of the United States and the tribes here. And, Park Service and everybody else also has the same Federal Reserve water right. So that's what that quantification is. Is that a better explanation?
Yes, very, very much. So 4 components, quantification, basically determine how much water we're talking about. And then, of course, the settlement. What about the settlement part?
Now, this is where it's most interesting. Remember I said that in the tester bill, They're $2.3 billion. That's what the tribe is asking for. But John Tester specified that none of that money would go to individual tribal members. So you wonder what all that money is going to be used for. So what we did, based on historic research, is we found that there was an outstanding claim of the CSKT submitted in 1951 with the Indian Claims Commission and the Court of Claims. And that claim was for water used in the irrigation project for purposes other than tribal irrigation. And the tribe in 1951 was simply asking for compensation for that water. Now, of all of the issues that went before the CSKT issues that went before the Indian Claims Commission and the Court of Claims, every single one was resolved with settlements and so forth, except that one. The 1951 claim was dismissed without prejudice, I believe, in about 1966. So that means there's an outstanding claim there, and we believe that in part to heal our community and to absolutely address the Federal Reserve water rights, that we would include in this People's Compact a settlement of that outstanding water claim. And the way the settlements have been paid out in the Indian Claims Commission is that 85% of the settlement goes to individual tribal members as a per capita payment, and 15% of the settlement monies go to the tribal government for tribal programs. So taking that same formula that's been used over and over again and determining the amount of water that the tribes were claiming for to be compensated for damage led to a very, very big settlement, which 85% goes to per capita. So we settled that particular claim. And then the second part of the settlement is actually providing funding for the development of the tribe's water rights. And that includes the rehabilitation of the Flathead irrigation project, because rehabilitation of that project, better water use efficiency, will make more water available for fisheries, which is part of the tribe's Federal Reserve water right. And also it will enhance the productivity of the irrigation project and benefit the landowners, the irrigation project. So the CSKT compact itself was completely different from this, but this is part of healing our community, making sure tribal members benefit, and also rehabilitating the tribe's, rehabilitating the irrigation project and developing the tribe's water right. Now, just as a contrast, the CSKT compact really had no money in there for developing the tribe's water rights. This one does. The rehabilitation of the irrigation project in the CSKT compact is not guaranteed. So ours is. So
okay, hold on. Let's stop right there. I got to take a quick break. We're going through the People's Compact. There's 4 components of it, and we're going through the settlement. Obviously, there's got to be some goals. We'll talk about that. An action plan, telling people what they can do to help out. But first, I do have to take a break. Welcome to Voices of Montana, all across the great state, Big Sky Country, Montana. We got you covered with the best in news talk. 866-627-5483. Our text line is 781-627-5483. We're going through a compact that was put together, and they've also planned some workshops and basically asking people to help out. We're going to tell you how you can help out if you'd like with this. We're talking with Dr. Kate Vandemoer, and there is a team of folks working on this. By the way, coming up on November the 20th, we'll have Dr. Aloszewski, and others from the legislature that will be talking about this new plan as well. Some people very favorable of this new plan. We'll talk to Dr. Al and many more. The old one, 1,500 pages, lots of government overreach, in my opinion. But my question is, will the court pass the doggone thing? So we're going to talk about that and much more. Dr. Kate, somebody texted in and says, Tester's bill, which you keep referring to, is dead. It died 2 years ago. What say you?
Understood. It died in the 2016 session up in Congress. But Tester was reelected. There is every indication that he's going to resubmit the bill. It may be now or in 2019, but there's no doubt that it's going to be resubmitted.
Very good. All right. No doubt that'll be resubmitted is what she says. All right. Continue with the settlement because this is interesting.
Yeah. So, again, the settlement really does what you're supposed to do in an Indian water rights discussion. You're supposed to settle all the claims, and then you're supposed to develop the tribe's water rights. And there is enough water, like I said, from various different sources, and it looks pretty good. So we've developed, substantial funds for the development of the tribe's surface and groundwater for whatever purpose they want.
Dr. Kate, I apologize. I do have another break that I have to take, and then we'll go all the way to the top of the hour and get through these things. But I want to remind everybody, Dr. Kate, can you tell us the websites where people should go for more information on this?
Yes, it's www.thepeoplescompact.wordpress.com.
Very good. That is the main one. You can look at it yourself. Is the CSKT Water Compact good enough for Montana, or do we need a totally new compact? Well, that's what we're talking about right now.
Call 1-866-627-5483 and join Montana's statewide radio talk show, Voices of Montana, and your host, John Arneson.
All right, coming up on November the 20th, we'll talk more on the CSKT Water Compact and this new People's Compact. Dr. Kate Vandemoer is on the line. She's from that Polson country. We do have a couple texts coming in, so let me get to them really quickly. Every ag group in the state of Montana endorses the compact. These are the affected users. Flathead Irrigation District just wrote a letter in support of the compact. And what community division are you talking about? Kate?
Oh, okay. Well, if you live on that reservation, you know that it's actually a very small group of people who support the CSKT compact. And the actual reality of the compact and what it does to irrigators over there, it is not okay. It is theft of water, infrastructure, and so forth. Yes, we know every ag group supported that, and the Montana ranchers and so forth. But when you look at what happened, the eastern Montanans were threatened with the tribes filing water rights across the state. So their best avenue was to basically say, okay, we'll support it, don't file those water rights. So they supported it, and then the tribes filed their water rights across the two-thirds of the state anyway. So we understand that, and we know that that's done. But like I say, the Montana process is done. That stuff is on the record. So that's okay. The division is severe, western and eastern Montana, and it's not just what we're noticing. Other people have noticed how divisive this thing was. So there is not 100% agreement. I understand why those entities supported it. They were threatened. But when you dive into the details, which the state did not provide citizens, then you know that it's not a possible or viable solution for Montana.
Kate, hold the line just a second. Let's go to the phone lines. Pat's been waiting a while in Helena. Pat, good morning.
Good morning, John.
Good morning.
You had a guest on this week, Lasofsky from Washington, D.C.
Drew.
Okay.
He's actually from Montana, but he's in Washington.
Okay, and he made a statement about a number of wells that had been drilled prior to the compact proposal. He said there are wells all over the place. Well, what I want to know is this. What was the law in the past before this compact was proposed? What is the law now for well drilling? What is the well drilling proposal that is under this one that we're discussing today? And what does the CSKT say about the control of well drilling? And I'll hang up and listen.
Very good. Thank you, Pat. Always love to hear from you. Let's go to Dr. Kate. Dr. Kate, what say you?
That's a lot of questions. The wells drilling program is the same prior to the compact was state law. And the things were basically put on hold until the CSKT quantified their Federal Reserve rights. Under the CSKT compact, the tribes take over all the drilling aspects and permitting and so forth because the state basically recused itself from doing any of that stuff. So, and they're all everything will go through the Montana General Stream Adjudication. Right now, the program for well drilling and so forth, the part of the settlement, that provides for a number of wells to be drilled. When that happens, that basically will be under the auspices of both state and tribal law. So there is no disruption, if you will, to any of the wells and so forth. But we do have the state basically administering state-based water rights, and the tribe administering tribal law-based water rights. So it is literally the same system, if you will. The CSKT compact turned that system upside down. We're writing it back up to the way it should be.
What about the Bureau of Reclamation, Kate?
Okay, one of the things that's happened with the Flathead Irrigation Project is the Bureau of Indian Affairs, which took over the project in about full management in 1960, has basically been managing the project politically, not professionally, not as an irrigation project. So the political management of the irrigation project has led to tremendous disrepair, lots of user conflicts, fighting over various pieces of it, and it's basically allowed the disintegration of a unified system that the United States plans for. So part of the People's Compact is to try to address that, to remove the political management and replace the Bureau of Indian Affairs with the Bureau of Reclamation. That would basically reintegrate the system, would help coordinate all flood control, power, and other aspects. Reclamation owns the Hungry Horse Reservoir. So we are trying to solve the problem, which is a political management of a project, by replacing it with an entity that is not so beholden to one constituency like the BIA is.
So what you're saying is replace the BIA and put the system under the Bureau of Reclamation.
Yes.
Got it. Go ahead.
Okay. So all of those components, there's a lot of detail to it. It's honestly a win-win situation. Everybody benefits from this. And it allows really the system to continue. So please read on www.thepeoplescompact.wordpress.com for more details. We also put out a newsletter that's called Both Sides of the Divide, getting to that divisive issue that was mentioned. And that was in the Western Ag Reporter, a number of other newspapers. But take a look at that. That's also on the website because it really describes the intent and the details, if you will, on how this moves forward. So, John, I know we're running out of time, but let me just tell you that our goal is to really place a legitimate alternative before Congress for their consideration. Like I said, we know the CSKT compact is going to be submitted by John Tester. That's Montana's process. Montana signed off on it. So we know that. But we want an alternative. And we're going directly to Congress just because the Montana process is over and they have their compact. And if you understand and use the Constitution, I said under the 10th Amendment, the people have a right to solve a problem. And under the First Amendment, we the people also have a right to petition our government for redress. That's right in the First Amendment. So we are taking this People's Compact, and the package that we develop is going to be presented to Congress as a First Amendment petition for redress. And interestingly enough, in that the tribe's claim in 1951 was a petition to the court, and they did not get redress. So we are folding in and incorporating the tribe's petition to our petition for the final resolution for Congress. So I know Dr. Al Olszewski next week will talk more about that process. But our goal right now as we the people is to seek broad public support. We're going to try to get as far across Montana as we can with publications or meetings. The idea is if there's enough people's support for this, expressed in letters to Congress, committees, Secretary Zinke, that there will be at least a groundswell that will have Congress consider this as a serious alternative. So it's a people's effort, if you will. And so we've got on our website, on our blog, the peoplescompact.wordpress.com, sample letters to congressional delegation and others, addresses, and recommendations. And we know, for example, just a rule of thumb is one well-written, doesn't have to be long, one well-written, handwritten letter translates, if you will, from the politician's standpoint into about 3,000 votes. So we'd like to see if people like this, please send a letter forward, support it, and so forth. So we have some upcoming meetings, and we're willing to schedule more. Depends on what people want, but on November 27th in Polson at the Red Lion Inn, that meeting is being sponsored by Last Chance Patriots. And we will be December 8th in Lewiston at the Montana Cattlemen's Association meeting. So, and we'll be on the radio. We've got lots of materials, and I guess I should just be quiet now and let you go, John.
Well, you're really seeking public support. That's what you want. So you're telling folks that you basically write to Congress. Now, what about Secretary Zinke? Is he going to sign off on this?
We don't know. There are no guarantees in any of this, as you know, but it is our last chance. It is Montana's last chance to solve this properly, because the heartache that will happen if the CSKT compact is passed is unimaginable. We can take days to tell you how it's going to hurt Montanans. So we don't know, but Secretary Zinke is obviously a key person in this. So if he hears that there's something else coming on here, the Department of the Interior may take a look at this or not. But it really depends on if we can get enough public support and interest in this. It's an alternative. I am confident when people look at this, they'll see that it really is the solution. Now, just one last thing here. Montana presented its citizens with two choices. Either take the CSKT compact as is, with all of its warts and its damages and its unprecedented activity, or nothing, or we'll see you in court and we'll sue you forever. So those are the two choices Montana was given. There was nothing in between. The People's Compact is the middle ground. It is the solution that can reconcile those two opposite poles.
All right, so Kate, I got to take a break. Hold on. I'll let you come back for final words, so think about that. Also think about this. We got a text that said the Supreme Court ruled the state couldn't permit the wells. So think on that. When we come back, we'll talk about that. All right. Well, some of the cornerstones. This settles the 1951 CSKT grievance related to Flathead Project water. Talk about that when we come back. The website is thepeoplescompact.wordpress. Is that right, Kate? Is that right? I wrote this down. Some of these notes I wrote down last night, and I can't read my handwriting. What is the website again?
thepeoplescompact.wordpress.com.
Okay, so it does have two dots. So thepeoplescompact.wordpress.com. Basically starting over. You guys say there's nothing redeemable in the CSKT, so you want to start over. What about this text that says the Supreme Court ruled the state couldn't permit the wells?
That's an example, basically, of telling half the story, which is what Montana did to justify a number of things. That particular ruling came out of a case in 1992 that said until the CSKT quantify their Federal Reserve rights, the state could not permit new wells. So there you go. The other half of the story is until they quantify their water rights. So that's what we did. And so that's why I can confidently say it's going to be the same. Once these water rights are quantified, state law takes over the way it should. Under the CSKT compact, it won't. Even if the tribe's water rights are quantified, which they were not in the CSKT compact, the state is effectively kicked out of representing 28,000 citizens who have state-based water rights.
Very interesting. Tuesday the 27th, November the 27th in Polson is an upcoming meeting. Also, December the 8th in Lewistown. Kate, got to say goodbye, but if people want to talk to you about maybe setting up a meeting, I think there should be a lot more than just two meetings on this, and there will be. We need one in Billings, and need one in Great Falls, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If they want to contact you to maybe get a meeting going, where should they go to?
They can contact us through the blog, through the thepeoplescompact.wordpress.com. And they can also reach me at mendingfencesact@gmail.com.
All right. Very good. Dr. Kate Vandemoer, thank you very much. I appreciate you going through this. It's pretty tricky, but the best of luck to you.
Thank you, and the best of luck to Montana. Like I say, this is our last chance. This shows, even if it doesn't pass, it shows Montanans that there was another choice, that there wasn't just one choice. And we greatly appreciate you having us on here. You've had us on for the last few years, so thanks very much, John.
You're welcome, Kate. Getting the information out, Montana information out about what we do.